Hello and welcome to the Storytelling with Puck podcast. We will, as always, start with a story.
The last dance. One beat, one move, repeating it again and again to prove. Working on new steps, I push and pull my legs. 7 months have gone by, a new time has begun. The children are coming back to dance and to shake their arms and legs. I don't know what to expect, but isn't it perfect to learn to go on and go through the storm? A storm of happiness, a storm of feelings, a chance to let them know that my time has come to go. It's never easy to say goodbye, but isn't it like the sky? A place that never goes by, a way to learn, and it's okay. My life is full of music, my heart is filled with love. After 30 years of dancing, I realize what a gift I got. Now, the last dance, working on new steps to share. New challenges are waiting for me, and I wonder where my heart will lead me.
It's something I think we all wonder. Thank you so much, Marijana. I can't wait to find out more about you and also more about this story. But before we do that, let's have a quick introduction to the podcast.
You're listening to Storytelling with Puck, the podcast designed to show the power of stories in life and in business. Stories connect us on a deeper level, which is why we'll be sharing, chatting about, and feeling the impact they have on every one of us. Your host, Stefano, is the founder of Puck Creations, and we work with your business to define a clear, consistent, relevant brand which stands out from the crowd. We use that brand to create content that makes your audience think, feel, and take action. Visit puckcreations.com to find out more.
But before you do that, it's time to choreograph the next episode with the masterful author and composer, Marijana Ajster. Marijana, please tell us a little about yourself.
Before 30 years, I started to take a coaching license to dance. And I've learned in this time a lot of how to work with children, because I mostly teach children. They have been 6 years till 18 years. And it was a big experience to see how quick they can learn, or not. Sometimes they don't know what is dancing. They want to know how it is possible to dance, like in the movies and MTV, the dancing clips. And they were very surprised that dancing is a hard job.
Is it they believe that it's just, which I guess in some ways it is, it's just moving your body, and I guess in its simplest form that is dancing, but to dance like the people in the movies, it's a little bit more complicated, right?
Yes, it's complicated. And my big job was, if we have an event, the children have to dance there, and they have to learn that it's big concentration, because they have only one chance to dance. The music is playing and they have to start. And it is not possible to stop it, to start again, to go back on their first position. They have to learn that it's okay to make something wrong, but every time to go on, and to find their way in the choreography. And this is very strong for the children, but I've never gone to an event if I have seen the children are not prepared enough, because the fear is too big. The fear to make something wrong is too big. And at the moment, I have seen they are lost the fear. We are going to the event.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So the dancing is almost as much about building up their confidence as it is about the actual dancing itself and the actual final result. It's okay. And so how old are the children that you're teaching? What age are they?
6 to 18.
Okay, that's a big difference between the youngest and the oldest. Do you teach them all the way from 6 to 18, or do you teach them? Do some of them come to you when they're 15, or do they usually start early?
They start in different ages.
Okay.
Some the youngest are 5 years sometimes, but they are okay. and sometimes they come at 15, and they learn very quickly.
Wow. So that was going to be my question, actually. So if children are starting a little bit later, do they sometimes have experience, or do you get children who come with no experience at all at 15 years old? And how do you approach that in comparison to how you approach teaching a 5-year-old? Is there a difference in the way you speak to them and work with them?
Before 30 years, it was a big difference how to speak with them. Today, it's easier because the movies and in YouTube, the dancing clips, all the kids have tried to dance at home. And everyone has basics. Yeah,
they have at least some rhythm.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
Okay, so that helps.
So they have to learn to hear to the teacher.
to not go and do whatever they think is right, but to actually listen to what you're saying about the steps, etc. So, what type of dancing do you teach? What style, what genre of dance do you teach?
Okay. When I start with the younger children, I use every kind of music. I don't want to push them into one direction. So we dance jazz dance, or modern, or hip hop, or improvisation, everything, or musical dance. We try everything. And after 2 to 4 years, the children know what they want, but I never push them in one direction because they have experience with their body and with their ears and eyes to teach at first how my body works with all these senses. And if I push them too early in one direction, they are very quickly lost in the other directions. So it's difficult. It's difficult then.
I can imagine that there's a level of enjoyment, and I guess people will have different abilities in different types of dancing too, because of the I'm no dance expert. I sometimes dance badly at weddings, but I imagine that there's a huge difference between maybe Latin and ballroom dancing to some kind of street dancing, for example, where to me as a viewer of dance, I see street dancing as being extremely acrobatic and almost gymnastic and athletic in that way. And although it's obviously extremely energetic and to do classical types of dance, the acrobatic side isn't there at all. So I guess there must be a huge difference, and that's only 2 types of dancing I'm talking about, but between all of the different genres and the styles, and therefore what your body can take and do.
Yeah, this is right. This is also right. Yes, but I use the chance to give the children in every kind of music for their ears, to get a chance to feel every music.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah.
To get the rhythm.
To get the rhythm inside and move their bodies to the music.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have the chance to get a view in every dancing direction. Yeah,
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I really, like I say, I'm not a great dancer, but I really love to dance because I feel that there's something powerful about almost letting yourself go a little with dancing and just kind of being. It's one of the most freeing things I believe there is when you decide not to care anymore. You stop worrying about people looking at you. As you say, you lose the fear, which I think we all have. And what you're doing with the children is to give them the practical skills which will help them lose that fear because they feel more confident in their ability. But I believe that once you are able to lose that fear, it can almost take you out of whatever you're thinking at the time. It's a therapy, I guess, in itself to be able to dance. And hopefully kids don't need too much therapy, but yeah, it's a chance to be free and be a kid, I guess. So what I also think dance can do really well, and this is why this podcast exists, is I believe that dance can tell a really great story. Do you actively think about stories within your dance, or do you believe that dancing tells great stories as well?
Oh yes, we can really make big choreographies to tell a story. I have a big event with 70 children dancing on a soccer field, and we are dancing to a story to the music of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh wow!
And this was really great. And in the soccer stadium, the people were silent when the music is coming, and the children are running on the soccer field and dancing their choreography. And it was really great. And the story, we had a big story on this field with a ship and waves and cool. Yeah.
That's incredible. I imagine being part of that must have been spectacular. But even to be in the audience, even to be watching that,
yes,
the emotions that were probably flowing through people at the time, accidental pun using flowing with the water there, but yeah, it creates something special. And I believe the dancing itself, but also the music that goes with it as well. I wrote, I haven't got it, so I can't read it because I can't remember it, but I wrote a piece a while back. I had just listened to Einaudi, a piece by Einaudi, and completely, as with all of his pieces, there were no words, the composition purely musical. And I felt something through every single note. I felt a movement. And I wrote a story based on that piece because I was just listening and closing my eyes and taking myself to a different place. And I wasn't really telling the story. He was telling the story with the composition, but then I was creating words based on what he had said. That might sound a bit wishy-washy, I guess, to some listeners, but for me, there's a deep truth that I wasn't telling the story. It came from somebody else. And that's why I mention music within the dance and telling the story within the dance. But it's also because I know that another part of your incredible skill set, as well as teaching dance and choreography, is that you also compose. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I guess I'm finding the link here between all of the different aspects of what you do. So tell me more about the composition side of your life.
So this is the other side of me. When I hear music, I'm able to choreograph. Yeah, and when I see wonderful things in the nature or a wonderful car and the silhouette of the car or of a tree, it starts in me that I I make this tree hearable. So I compose the music for this tree, or for this nature, or a silhouette of clouds, or for a car, how it sounds for me. Yeah, and this I compose. Yeah, when I see a chair that's able to move and it's a great design, so this is inspiration for me, and then I'm able, like, hearing the proportion and the colors of this, and then I change it into music.
That's incredible. I believe that for some people that probably it's probably hard to understand where that can come from. Most people will see a chair, and it's very useful for sitting on. Yes. Sometimes they like the design; they think it looks nice. But other than that, that's maybe as far as a chair will go. Yeah. But for you, it's inspiration. For you, yes. Okay. And is there a process to the inspiration? At least, a thought through process to how the inspiration comes, or is there just a feeling that it sparks, which then you're able to curate and then create something else? How does it work, or do you even know how it works?
The first thing is I have to be in a situation that's very lightness. Yeah, then I'm able to do something like this. When my head is full and I have a heavy head, it doesn't work. So sometimes a second, I see this and the music is flowing through me. Yeah, wow. Sometimes in a second. Yeah, inspiration in very, very short time.
So with that, coming back to stories again, do you feel, I don't want to project it, this is a very leading question, but I'm going to ask it anyway in this way. But do you feel like the chair is telling you a story, and then rather than you, so for example, I'm often inspired by random objects and things too, but I turn that often into writing. And I tell a story using words. Would you be telling a story using music about the chair because of the inspiration it has given you, or about what the chair kind of means to you? I know we're not always talking about a chair, by the way, but whatever the object is.
I think it's sometimes we have the golden cut. Yeah, you know the golden cut?
I have heard of it, but if I'm honest, I'm not an expert in it, and also I don't know how many of our listeners know it. So maybe if you can explain it, that would be amazing.
Okay. We use, or designer use often the golden cut because it's a very nice proportion for us. Okay. When we see something that is made in the golden cut or designed, we like it. We think it's very, very nice. Our nature is completely growing up in the golden cut.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think sometimes this is hearable. Yeah, in a very lightness moment of me, I think I can hear it. This is very special. Yeah, and the people are very silent. It's a big silence in them when they hear the music. They can, relax deep, very, very deep relax they have. And I love the situation because this is the situation I am able to work very good when it's silent in me. And I think maybe it's something with the golden cut. because in our planetary system, the Earth and the Venus are making some flowers. Yeah, in 8 years, it's like a golden cut. Yeah, and I can show you something here. A moment. This is also growing in a golden cut. The nature is completely growing in a golden cut.
So explain what you're showing me to our listeners, as they won't be able to see.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah, so it's a huge shell.
Yes.
And it's shaped. It's a large version of a shell that you would see on any beach, well, most beaches, I guess. And I can't explain the golden cut, so I was hoping that you might be able to explain how the shape of the shell relates to the golden cut.
It's a creation of numbers.
It's got something to do with the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes. One part of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the proportion, and it's it's a good work of the nature, the golden cut. Yeah.
So it's basically about everything. Almost as if somebody has designed the perfect shape, and it's set up perfectly for its use as well, for what it's supposed to be used for, but also because of what it looks like.
Yeah, like Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes,
is building always after or with this golden cut buildings in a proportion, and it looks for us very, very nice. Yeah,
that makes sense. So it's kind of the architectural design that goes behind. Yeah, so I think now I'm understanding a bit better, and our listeners probably understand anyway, and are wondering why I'm so ignorant to it all. But that's okay. I'm learning. Hopefully, some other people are too. But going back to the music, then, so you can almost picture and feel and hear the golden cut, and then that helps you to create something which you think perfectly flows and sounds how you want it to sound. Yes.
It's like the part of some people are able to hear colors. Yeah, and I think it's a part in me of this thing, and because when I compose the music, I never write something down. I can play it, and I remember it always. Yeah, I'm nothing writing down.
So there's no musical composition, there's no sheet music that anybody else could follow. So they'd have to, if they wanted to recreate your music, they would have to listen, and that's the only way.
Yeah, and the interesting of this is I can repeat it again. But I've never wrote down something. Yeah,
that's incredible.
I remember it when I see it.
Yeah,
and because like the music is inside.
You've been listening to our multi-talented guest, Marijana Ajster, as she guided us through the power of teaching in stories. We've talked about the golden cut, or the golden ratio, and we've learned about Marijana's techniques for composing music. You're currently enjoying one of Marijana's wonderful pieces from her album Atmosphere. We played another piece earlier, and we'll play some more as we continue to explore Marijana's life and work, including a look at her creations as a writer. Before we continue and work our way towards a puck creation story to finish the episode, let's turn the volume up and listen to another of Marijana's great compositions. So that's a good question, actually. So do you then remember somebody else's compositions in the same way, or is it only your own compositions that you're able to remember?
I only can remember 2 compositions because I have learned to play piano with them. This is of Richard Kleiderman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ballade pour Adeline. I love this. And the other is of Bach, one Preludium I played. Yeah.
And so those 2 pieces you remember without having to look at any music, but everything else you have to look at music unless you've composed it yourself, because then you feel the composition. Yeah, that's quite incredible, actually. That says something in itself. I really like that. So tell me how it all began. How did getting into, I mean, I don't need the exact details of your birth, but how did this creative spark, this want, this need to teach dance, to choreograph, to compose music, to write, because I know you also write as well. How did this come about? When did you realize that this was something that you wanted to do?
As a children in the school, I had a lot of teachers, and some of them I don't like. I really don't like them. Okay. How they are teaching, what they are doing in the classroom. And as a child, I said once, I want to know if it's so a big problem to teach very good. I don't understand what's the problem of this teacher. I want to learn how to teach and to feel good for the children. And over this way, I started to get my license for the coach. And after a couple of years, I learned there was no problem of teaching for me.
Okay.
Because I see I love what I do. So the first answer for me was, I think I have teachers, they don't like what they do. This is a big problem for them. So I can listen to them because they are not able to speak out of their heart.
Yeah.
They're standing in front of the children, like a military person, and work with us or so on. And I cannot hear them because I felt very small in me because the heart is not speaking to me. I miss the heart in the people. Mm-hmm. They are not able to catch us and to get us into a story, to tell us a story and to learn by a story. And I miss this. This was a missing link in my life. And I asked me, why is this so difficult? I don't understand. but today, I think there are a lot of reasons. Yeah, you have to choose to be a teacher. If you can, or if you love mathematics, I hope the teacher are infinity with numbers. Then they can learn the children it on other ways. But if they have mathematics only numbers and they have no feeling to the numbers, I cannot hear to them. There's a missing link always for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I had similar experiences at school myself. There were some teachers who were amazing, and
yes, very amazing.
Yeah, and often it was because, as you say, they told a story, and it wasn't just the English teachers, it wasn't just the drama teachers. It was also some of my maths teachers. I think that's a good example, who understood how to get you excited by the numbers because they explained what the numbers meant. They talked about a situation where this could actually be useful. And so I loved maths as a child, but I also loved English and drama, and I really didn't like science. But not because I don't like science, because as I've grown up, I've realized how much I love science. But I didn't like science because my science teachers would throw a textbook at me, tell me to read, and then to just hopefully understand all of the potential kind of formulas and scripts that they'd thrown at me, and then to answer loads of questions in a test off the back of them basically doing zero work, not allowing experiments in the classroom, which is the fun of science. It's so easy to teach science well, I think, because you can just say, hey, look, here's a Bunsen burner, there's fire. I mean, most kids will quickly react to that. But so yeah, for quite a few years, I had really, really bad teachers who didn't share any stories, who didn't get me absorbed in science. Luckily, when it came to the exam times as an older child, the GCSEs and A-levels in the UK, I know you live in Germany, and I think different exams there, but when you are kind of 15, 16 or 17, 18, luckily I then had much, much better teachers, and they were able to get me absorbed in the story. So I definitely see where you were coming from. I definitely understand that there was something missing, because I think many parents, many other teachers, and many children now are still probably experiencing the same thing, unfortunately. So the difference, I guess, with you is that you did something about it. So you had your coaching license. You realized that children weren't being taught as well as they maybe should have been, and you decided to go and to do it yourself. What kind of reaction do you have now to the way that you teach? How did children respond to you?
Most of the children do not expect that I have used often a story to tell them a story, or to catch them with the story. And when I explain the moves, I always give them a story.
Oh, amazing.
So they are dancing stories, like the arms are going over the head, so we have a rainbow. And they remember, oh, okay, it's coming the rainbow. and they don't working in their heads, they are dancing. And this. Then we start to dance when we don't work in our heads.
I love this.
We let it flow.
Yeah.
With the pictures.
So there's a teaching method that the originator of the method, unfortunately, has passed away now a few years ago. But there's a gentleman named Michel Thomas. I don't know if you know.
No.
But I love languages, and I love learning new languages. And he, in a similar vein to you, really disliked the way a lot of teaching was done, but specifically for languages at school, etc. And so he was able to pick up languages and to learn languages fairly easy. And he dug into why. He found out why he was able to do that. And in a similar way, the big thing for him was understanding that when you try to remember something, when you try to force yourself to remember something, it becomes much, much harder to remember. When the teacher is the architect of your memory, and you're actually just maybe being involved in a conversation, there were other elements to his method, but you don't force yourself to remember anything, then suddenly you pick things up a lot better. So his lessons always start with There are only 3 rules, I think, that he says. And he says, you must not write anything down. You must not try to remember anything. And if I ask you a question, or if I say something in the language that I'm teaching, you have to say it back out loud. Those are the only 3 rules he has. And then everything else is down to him and the way that he then tells a story to put all of the different pieces of the language together. He uses building blocks then to build up. And for me, it's by far the best way I've ever learned anything. And I think, again, it's because of those stories. It's because I'm not forced to try and remember. I'm not really racking my brains. Oh, what's that word I wrote down the other day? It comes because I haven't even thought about it, but I'm linking it to something else. I'm linking it to a story. I'm linking it to the bit that he had talked about 10 minutes beforehand, and then come back around to it again. But I'm not working out, only because I'm kind of investigating it now and his methods of teaching. I sometimes work out what he was doing. But before, I didn't know what he was doing. All I knew was that he was saying something. And then 4 weeks later, I was still remembering it when he came back to that topic. And it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing, I think, if you can do it well. Sorry, that was very kind of self-indulgent of me to go into that, but it's only because I love the way that you explained your teaching, and it really reminded me of what Michel Thomas does as well. Do you see any similarities with what I'm talking about, or am I going in a complete wrong direction?
No. This is yes, the right way, because the children, when they come the first time to me, I say to them, everything you are doing here is right. We have the rule that every step is correct. You cannot do something wrong here. This is, they open the doors then. Wow, a place where everything is okay. Yeah. And so they are moving themselves to have a look what the teacher is doing, and they want to do it. I don't press them to do it right, because they have the chance to do it right. Mm-hmm. But I don't pull them, this is the only direction you have to go. When they move left, it's okay, they are moving. If I'm moving right and they go left, it's okay, they are moving. Yeah. The direction is at the moment not necessary, but they are moving. They know they have to move or to turn around. This is okay. And after 2 weeks, they know the direction. They only change the direction, but they are moving. And this is the main step for dancing. And often they don't know what is right, what is left. I also change it, because when I am standing in front of the mirror, I have their own right and left. When I turn around, I turn everything. So it's okay when they choose the wrong direction. I choose it sometimes also.
And it's not the most important part. Maybe what you're explaining there is the lack of pressure and the lack of responsibility, and therefore being allowed to just, as you say, express yourself and to be free. I think that makes such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when I am dancing and I make a mistake, I laugh. And the children see, okay, my teacher is also not perfect, and she's laughing about her mistake. So, and I repeat it, and then it's okay. Okay, it's possible to laugh and make it better.
Huh. Yeah, I really love that. I would love to actually just kind of watch your teaching method one day. I think it would be it would be amazing to see. I'm truly inspired when I see, as you say, there are some not great teachers, but I'm truly inspired when I see great teachers, when I see, as you say, the true belief in what they do, that they really care about what they're doing, that they understand then I guess, you understand that it's your responsibility to teach the children. It's not their responsibility to learn. I think that in itself is a huge difference as well. And then the use of things like stories. To me, I find it inspiring, guys. So I think I'd like to thank you actually for what you do, because I think genuinely though, I think it's an amazing thing. I think it gives back in a way that lots of people don't or aren't able to. And I know sometimes I would love to be able to give back in the way that you do. So I really appreciate it. It's genuinely quite amazing.
The big topic in my lessons is that the children go out of the lesson and know to trust themselves, that one day they are possible to dance like the teacher. And this door is every time open. But at first they have to learn to trust themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's as you say, it's trust yourself and see the possibilities, and then everything else will come.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So we talked about your teaching work, and we've been focusing quite a lot on what you do with the children. Another element, and we very, very briefly talked about it earlier, of your extremely diverse life is writing. And you mentioned recently to me offline that you are writing a second book at the moment. Before we talk about your second book, for our listeners, what was the first book about?
Yes. The first book, it is a very small and short book, because I know a lot of people don't have a lot of time to read. And it's a short story inside of to be kind with yourself when you are studying new things, and to get a good character, to be to know sometimes it's a long way, but never give you up, and to clean up yourself inside, to make your character fine, and in the small story, one boy has done this, and all what he knows, he put it in a suitcase, and put the suitcase under a tree, a big tree. And he knows that once a girl will come and find this suitcase, but it's not easy to open it.
Okay.
Because the knowledge inside, you have a good character to open it.
It's a hidden treasure story, but actually the hidden treasure is about what's inside rather than what's around you. I love that. What's it called?
Oki and Rakesh.
Oki und Rakesh, and so the "und" is "and" in German, right? And so it's a book in German. Is it only in the German language?
At the moment, it's only in the German language.
Okay. So if we have German listeners on here, then hopefully we have lots of them. Then go and find that book. If you have anybody who is wanting to learn German, then it's a good place to go. And hopefully at some point in the future, you never know, maybe we'll get it translated into English as well, so that more people can see the story, because it sounds wonderful. And so that leads us on then to what the second book is about. And so what are you writing? What are you writing right now?
The second book is Over the Golden Cut.
Okay. That's funny. We were talking about that earlier.
Because the Golden Cut is also one part in my life, because I have learned to cook the Ayurvedic, the Indian way of cooking. Wow. And I'm studying at the moment Vastu. This is Vedic architecture knowledge, a very old school of the Indian architecture knowledge. And the 5 elements are very important also for buildings and for living in rooms. Because, Can
you tell me what the five elements are?
Yes, this is earth, water, a fire and air.
Okay, so sorry, the five core elements of,
Yes.
And so what's the fifth element in?
And the ether. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the importance of nature within architecture in some ways, then.
Yes, and of our living rooms. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the sun and the moon have a lot of energy in our rooms, and if we don't notice, we can get very ill. And this is not necessary to get ill when we use this knowledge.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, one of the huge problems, medical problems in a lot of the Western world is a lack of vitamin D, because we're not getting enough sunshine, and that's partly from not going outside enough, but it's also partly because of the houses that we live in, and as you say, quite often we work in dark office spaces. Depending on where you are, there are lots of people who work in huge buildings in huge tower blocks with purely glass windows, so they're in very sunlit buildings. But often people are working in the middle of those buildings with no windows whatsoever and a very dark space with only fake lighting. So that's one element which is really important to the architecture, and then all of the other elements are just as important, and it's about the balance between them that creates the perfect building.
Yes, because our buildings are like small universes. We build a small universe, and when you have missed some planets or the sun is not coming into your house, you are also missing things in yourself.
Okay.
And it's like missing links, like a bathroom without water. So you cannot use it.
No, that's quite an important feature. It's funny how there are certain things you don't think about until you miss them. But that would definitely be something I think we would all miss. So it's about that perfect balance, and then how does that connect to the wider elements of what you're doing? How does it all connect together to the music, to the dancing, or does it not connect? Are they kind of separate things for you?
No, this is not separate. It's everything together. Because if you are in a building that sounds very good, you are thinking other things. Yeah, your brain is on another way of working.
That makes sense.
And there are a lot of buildings. The sound in the building is very, very nice. Very nice. And the people, they live in such buildings are very kind and lovely. They have other qualities. And I love these qualities.
Okay, that makes sense. And so it's about, you talked earlier about having a full head and not being in the right environment, stifling your creativity, stifling the ability to compose a piece of music or to choreograph a new dance. And so being in the wrong building can be part of filling up your head with the wrong things, and therefore stifling your creativity and your ability to learn and to teach and to create and curate something new.
Yeah. Before I started all these things, I was a secretary.
Okay.
Working in a big company, and after a few years, I saw that something is not good for me. My creativity explodes, but I cannot put it in my work. And so I once decided, okay, I think I'm sitting on the wrong chair. I have to leave. So I go in another direction, and it was great for me. Yeah. So I know the life of the people. They're working in big companies and what are they are doing and know how they feel sometimes. And it's also for them possible to change the offices to make them a better feeling also for their work. Yeah, because sometimes you're only sitting in the wrong direction and you don't understand why. You have no ideas. Only just sitting in the wrong direction.
That makes sense. I feel like sometimes for me, I get some of my best ideas and some of my most creative moments come when I'm literally staring out a window. It's the best moment for me. I'm staring out the window, there's silence around me, or maybe some classical music playing in the background, and it's just me, my own thoughts, and a big wide window with the sky and potentially, some buildings, etc. around, but they're not really in my focus. The focus is just the wide space and nature. And the more I've come to realize how much that helps, the more I now actively do it. Whereas before it was an accident. I didn't realize that I was staring out the window and then I was being creative. I guess I was just staring into space and then ideas would come. But now that I know that actually when I'm doing that, it happens, I actively pursue moments and pursue spaces where I can allow that to happen. So I think I have an understanding of where you're coming from and how that helps you too. I've never looked into it in anywhere near the amount of detail you have though. So I'd be really interested to see how this book comes out and how it all comes together. And I will do my best at reading German. My German is awful, but I will do my best. But then when we can get it translated as well at some point, hopefully in the future, then it'll be even better for me. It has been such a pleasure to talk with you. I've really, really loved digging into all of your creativity and understanding how you teach and what makes you feel a certain way, and then how you get your children to feel a certain way, and how all of the different elements of your life come together. It's been quite incredible. So before we say our goodbyes for today, if people would like to find out more about you or to talk to you about any of this stuff, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn,
okay,
and on my website.
Okay,
and this is the way to me, the shortest way.
Okay, perfect. So I will make sure that I get all of that information onto the show notes. Just if people are looking for it now, it's Marijana-Ajster.de is the main website, and Marijana Ajster is how you will find Marijana on LinkedIn. But I will make sure that I get all of that on the show notes, especially for people who can't spell it, which may be a few people. So yeah, we'll get everything ready for people. But genuinely, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today, Marijana.
Thank you too.
As the melody played, I closed my eyes, not knowing where I was going. I followed every note until eventually I was no longer following. I was the wave, gently transporting my soul towards the sand. I was the sand, embracing my body with warm, open arms. I was the sky, clearing the clouds from my mind. Music can transport us into different worlds. It tells its own story. Stories make us feel. Sometimes we need to feel something other than the feeling we have right now. Wish music transports you to a better place. You've just been listening to the Storytelling with Puck podcast. We'll be back very soon, so make sure you subscribe and catch up on any of the episodes you've missed.